Hey guys, this is Nothing from Varun, and in today's video, we'll be doing a long-term review of the Guiding Tech Reviews channel. I think I said that wrong. Let's just start again. This is Varun from Guiding Tech Reviews, and in today's video, we'll be taking a longer, in-depth look at the Nothing Phone 1, which has me all confused for good reason too. So without wasting any time, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so I won't be dwelling into a lot of detail here because I know you have already seen all of those in-depth reviews when the phone was launched and the embargo was lifted. This is more of a long-term review, so I will be talking about how the design element plays out in the real world, how it impacts your real-world usage, how the camera has improved after all of the updates, and obviously we will be focusing on that software department because the updates are what define the good or bad experience of this phone. Starting off with the design, like I said, it's one of the most unique designs out there, and that continues to be the USP of this device. I mean, sure, you can spend even 1 lakh on a smartphone, but that would not offer you a design like this. This one easily is a conversation starter. Like, apart from a foldable device, this is probably the next best thing that starts a conversation with new people. And those lights on the back, trust me, they're not a gimmick by any means. Regardless of however you place your phone, whether it's on the display or on the back, those lights just ensure that you will never miss out a notification. And that really helps in the day-to-day world, because if you're someone who is not using a smartwatch like I am, that feature comes in super handy. Speaking of which, this right here is the Realme Watch 3 Pro, the review for which should be coming pretty soon, so make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. Now, one thing that I would like to highlight is that when I first started using this phone, it did feel a bit wider to me, at least in comparison to the majority of the crop of the smartphones out there. But I'll be honest, I just adapted to it pretty fine, no complaints there. So yeah, that is one thing to keep in mind. Don't just go by the face value of it or just by the first impression of the device. Once you start using to it, the phone just really fits inside your hand like a glove, and you can easily adapt to the wider aspect ratio here. Also, another thing that most companies don't really focus on are the haptics. The haptic feedback of the Nothing Phone 1 is, well, if this is perfect, then this is just right next to it. It's that good. Moving on to the display, and again, starting off right at the face value, I personally wasn't a fan of these uniform bezels. Like, on paper, uniform bezels do sound good, but I personally do not like them if they are this thick. I mean, if you compare it with the competitors, you have much slimmer options available. But I mean, I won't deny the fact that I do admire it now, because it does add a bit more symmetry to the device and definitely makes it look good. Does it affect your usability in any manner? Definitely not. In fact, it actually makes the gesture recognition pretty good, because it means that no matter how you're swiping it, you are definitely interacting with the display and not interacting with any random hardware piece and not missing out on the gesture navigation. So that's good. Now, when the phone was launched, there were some issues in the display department. For instance, in some YouTube videos, the 4K HDR did not play back at 60 FPS. There were brightness issues, but all of them have been fixed with the recent crop of updates. So that's good. One thing that I've noticed is that sometimes there is a green tint towards the edges of the display when I open something in the dark mode while being in a dark room at a low brightness on the screen. Now, it's not that noticeable, but the company has acknowledged that issue because it existed not just on my unit, but a lot of other units as well. So if you do end up buying one, make sure to test this out firsthand. And God forbid, if your device does have that issue, you can just easily contact Nothing for a replacement unit for the same. Moving along, let's talk about the cameras, which, well, easily is the most improved part about this device with the updates. When the device was launched, the primary camera was, well, decent enough. The ultra wide was pretty shabby. It did improve with the new updates, and now with the recent and the latest update that we have installed on a device right here, the overall performance is pretty damn good. But more importantly, it's far more reliable now. And what I mean by that is now you get more consistent shots. The color balance is consistent across all lighting scenarios, which is pretty good, whether you switch from the main to the ultra wide sensor. Even when it comes to skin tones, the camera keeps it natural and good looking for almost all the shots. The HDR here has also gotten better with the new updates. Now, it's still not excellent, but it's definitely more improved. And for most folks, this should be as good as a performance as you can expect. Speaking of the ultra-wide sensor, there are some scenarios where I've noticed that the phone tends to just over-sharpen the image quite a lot. Now, I personally am not a fan of this because that over-sharpening is quite evident, and it's one thing to make a shot look detailed, but this is just clearly over-sharpening. You can also click macro shots from the ultra-wide sensor, and considering the fact that you get 50 MP of data here, the shots definitely do come out looking good. Switching over to selfies, the selfies have gotten better as well, given the fact that the lighting is decent. However, once the light gets less than decent, the shots also follow the same suit. Moving on to low light shots, one thing that I've noticed is that the time taken to click a photo in these dark conditions has reduced quite a lot. Earlier it used to take about 5 seconds, now it's down to just 1.5 seconds. And the overall picture quality has improved as well. Now it's still no good in extremely low light conditions, but for normal low light conditions, the phone does perform pretty well, while also keeping a good balance between colors, details, and managing to remove a good amount of noise. Coming to the performance, well, there's not a lot to talk about here because the Snapdragon 778G Plus, which powers this device, is a pretty good performer. I mean, it's as good as a flagship-like experience promising processor would get you because the performance has been amazing in day-to-day usage. It's basically a lag-free performance. You can easily multitask on this, no issues whatsoever, and everything just works very fine. Of course, a good credit to that good performance goes to the software department, and here you get near stock like Android experience, which has definitely become far more stable in the new updates. Now it's still not entirely stable because there are some bugs that keep popping up every now and then, which can be fixed with a normal reboot, but still, those bugs still keep on coming. Now, credit where it's due, the company has been acknowledging those issues and they have been rolling out updates to fix them as well. The problem with those updates is the fact that those are all bug fixes. They are not Android updates as the company promised to deliver. Like, even at the time of recording, this phone is running a security patch from July, which is really disappointing, especially for a company that promised to deliver on two very key points, which was a unique design and a clean software experience. While the design part, obviously they have delivered on it, the software part still leaves users lacking for a lot more from the company. Now sure, you can say that it's a small team, but it's still just a single device to focus on. You just have one phone to focus on. There are companies, obviously, who have bigger teams, but they have a lot of devices to focus on as well. Just one phone you have to work on, and that too is near stock Android. I'm not going to get into the depths of it because I'm sure the company will have their own reasoning for it, but surely they can deliver a better update schedule than what they're delivering right now. Also, speaking of bugs, like I said, while most of the bugs can be fixed with a simple reboot, some new bugs have popped up on my unit. For instance, the auto rotate just does not work anymore, which is very stupid. It's a basic functionality of an Android device and it's not working, and that's very disappointing. Lastly, we have the battery life, and again, the phone has been performing very well. The 4500 mAh battery coupled with the power efficient Snapdragon 778G Plus processor easily manages to give you 7 hours of screen on time, which is amazing. Now, of course, the phone comes with 33 watts of fast charging, like support for fast charging, because you have to buy the charger separately, and there's also support for wireless charging here. If you care about wireless charging, which I personally do admire at the very least, it's a nice thing to have. As for fast charging, I won't deny the fact that I have been spoiled for choice by having all those 65 watt chargers, and now that I'm using a phone with a 150 watt charger, this definitely feels slow when it comes to charging times. But yeah, the battery backup more or less makes up for it. So, the big question, would I recommend the Nothing Phone 1 to you? Well, it's a very simple answer. If you do not care about the update schedule of the phone, it's a pretty solid recommendation. Things have improved. Now, again, I'll stress on the point. It's not like the company hasn't been pushing out updates. There are phone manufacturers that just refuse to roll out any updates or fix any of the bugs. It's good on Nothing's part that they have been addressing those bugs and they have been rolling out updates to fix those bugs. So that's anyway a good thing to have. What I'm trying to say is that if you're a person who does not really care about being on the latest security patches or being on the latest version of Android. Because obviously Android 13 is out now and this thing is still running Android 12. There is no official word now when Android 13 will be coming. And the official timeline for the Android 13 update is, well, way off in the future. So, yeah, I mean, if those two things are something that you don't really care about, it's still a pretty good phone. And that is one thing that you need to understand. It's not a gaming device per se, it's not the best camera device per se, it's the perfect everyday device. The ergonomics, the design, the usability, the reliability in most ways is pretty good. And it makes me comfortable in saying that yes, you can go ahead and buy the Nothing Phone 1. And well, that was it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Juan from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.